All right, I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Urbana City Council. It's Monday, August 3rd, 2020. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu.
Here.
Ms. Hersey.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Colebrook.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Jared's joining us right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here. I did want to announce that due to the Governor Pritzker's and the mayoral emergency COVID-19 orders, the Urbana City Council chambers are not open to the public during the meeting. Council members will meet remotely using the Zoom webinar, and the meeting can be watched on Urbana Public Television or via streaming services or attending via Zoom. We'll move next to public input. Is there anyone wishing to address the special meeting of the Urbana City Council? I see one hand. Amina Payne.
Hi, thanks, Mayor Marlin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. My name's Amina Payne, and I'd like to address the connection between academic underachievement and student involvement in the justice system, as it needs to be highlighted and addressed. Now, when students are not engaged in their studies, nor when they graduate from high school to obtain the skills necessary to be contributors to their communities, they are more likely to be involved in the justice system. From my Freedom of Information Act request, I understand that in 2019, there were 252 juvenile arrests. 84% were Black youth. Now, the average age were kids on the cusp of turning 15 years old. And out of these 211 arrests of Black youth, only 5 were released with a warning. All others were sent to either a youth assessment center or a juvenile detention center. Now, time spent learning is the single best predictor of positive academic outcomes. Now, although federal within the schools, federal and state laws require educators to suspend, expel, or refer students to law enforcement for certain offenses, we know that many educators are choosing to employ these harsh measures for trivial matters, such as minor disturbances in the classroom. Now, Urbana School District 116, the chronic absenteeism percentage is 36% in comparison to that of the entire state of Illinois, which sits at 18%. At Urbana High School in particular, the rate of chronic absenteeism is 53%. Now, 88% of total suspensions in the 2019 school year were Black students and students of color. 89% of out-of-school suspensions are also Black students and students of color. Now, the exact percentages for Black students alone are 54% of total suspensions and 52% of out-of-school suspensions. But the student body breakdown of Urbana School District is 37% Black, 31% white, 15% Hispanic, 5% Asian, 1% American Indian, and 10% are multiracial. This further illustrates that Black students are being suspended at higher rates than their peers. So, as well as at Urbana schools, only 4% of Black students and 13% of Hispanic students meet or exceed mathematics performance levels. Yet, their white peers, 34% of them meet or exceed mathematics performance levels. Now, why am I talking to you about Urbana, the education system? It's because this is a community issue as well. And the Board of Education and the wider community leaders must refocus on students and their needs, not fund armed police in Urbana schools. As leaders, as community members, you must urge the Board of Education to end the intergovernmental agreement with the Urbana Police Department and remove SROs, school resource officers, from Urbana public schools as the Board of Education works to finalize their budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Nixon.
Hello, I just have a
question, if I may, just for clarity, is this the city council meeting at which the council is addressing the proposed appointments for the vacated city council seat?
Yes, that's the only item on the agenda.
Right, okay. I would like to offer a comment. So my name is Sarah Nixon. I'm a resident of Urbana, and as an Urbana resident who has become firmly engaged as an observer with the city government process, I'm disappointed that Mayor Marlin has shunned the most qualified and appropriate choice to replace retired council member Eric Jacobson. Mr. Jacobson's departure has provided Urbana with the ideal opportunity to inject city politics and government with a vitally needed force for real reform. As someone who has known Julie Lout well for many years, I can attest to the fact that she has wonderful qualities as a person, as a mother, as a church member, and as a community member. And I know that if appointed to city council, Julie will bring dedication and hard work to her role. However, the city has before it a choice between a really good candidate and a standout candidate. Never mind the city council appointment, Mr. Hansen has proven himself time and time again to be probably the most civically engaged resident of all of Urbana, who is not currently seated on a government board or commission. Beyond that, Mr. Hansen's renegade manner of agitating for reform is really exactly what Urbana needs to shake its government out of stagnation. As we all know, it is due effectively entirely to Mr. Hansen that Urbana is seeing a radical rebirthing of its Civilian Police Review Board that we all hope will be an effective resource for residents moving forward. His proven commitment and dedication to reforming broken parts of the city machine is really nothing short of exemplary. And I know that Mr. Hansen's engagement with city government will continue in one form or another. In closing, to Julie, if you are appointed, I would like to offer a couple of suggestions. First, I would encourage you to view all of the video recorded city council meetings and other relevant commission and board meetings, if you haven't already done so, which as you I'm sure know have been recorded since the beginning of the COVID pandemic and made readily available on YouTube. And my final thoughts for you are, please don't be safe, don't be compliant, and don't go along to get along if appointed to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like Gisande Cruz.
Hello? Can you hear
Hello?
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. My name is Gisande Gonzalez Cruz. I'm a resident of Urbana. And I just wanted to speak a little bit to policing alternatives. So when we say police are reactive, we mean they usually don't prevent crimes or dangers, but respond to them after the fact. A few months ago, actually, there was a man who was stopped for intoxication while driving in front of where I live, and 4 police officers responded to that call. There were 4 police officers giving him the intoxication test, which I think is a little intimidating for one, and probably unnecessary use of police resources for 2. And I'm immediately reminded of Rayshad Brooks, who was basically murdered after failing a sobriety test. So I think that there are other ways to respond to calls like that, and I want to suggest that maybe Urbana look into things like that, maybe doing some sort of community intervention strategies, numbers that the community can call, community members who would respond to things like that, because the man was arrested and it's just unfair. So that being said, I think Urbana is taking a lot of good steps to defund the police with the deferment of the canine police car, but they're small steps and there's a lot more that we can do. I understand that defunding the police is a slow process, but there's other strides that can be made. First off, Aaliyah Lewis was also approached for a police call citing domestic dispute, and that's another prime example of a time when police don't have to be the first responders. She shouldn't have charges against her, and taking seriously the community's call to defund the police means changing the way calls like domestic disputes and intoxicated driving are responding to. So I'd urge the public to call Julia Reitz at 217-384-3733 to demand that she drop the charges against Aaliyah Lewis, and I encourage the council to urge Julia Reitz to drop the charges against Aaliyah Lewis, as well as the 27 protesters who were arrested on May 31st and June 1st this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Meg?
Hi, it's Megan McDonald. I just wanted to say for the public, just to be more transparent, if anybody else is raising their hand to talk about police reform or defunding, just say stop until the next meeting. And also put in my recommendation for Chris Hansen again. Yeah, that's it. I'll just wait till the next meeting, but I just wanted people to know that because it seems like it might not be clear. All right.
Okay, I don't see any more hands up. We'll move on to the item of business for this meeting, and that is an appointment that I'm bringing to council for consideration for Ward 2. Just to summarize the process so that everyone understands, this is the same process for this appointment that was followed for appointing the council member in Ward 3 and in Ward 6. So this is the third city council appointment that we've considered in the last 3 years. Applications were accepted, were made available to the public. We ended up with a total of 4 applications. 2 of the applicants did not live in the ward. That left the 2 remaining candidates. After the application period was over, I called all the references for both candidates and had personal interviews with both candidates, about an hour and a half each. The council members, city council members, received copies of the application and CVs if they were provided. And then last week, the candidates provided public statements at the city council meeting. This appointment, once again, is to fill out the remainder of Council Member Eric Jacobson's term, which ends May 3rd, 2021. And as such, the candidate will also take his seat on the Traffic Commission, which is the commission that Eric was assigned to for his term. I'm pleased to appoint Dr. Julie Laut to the position of Ward 2 City Council Member. Dr. Laut will complete the remainder of Eric Jacobson's term. She's been a resident of Ward 2 for the past 8 years and holds a PhD in history from the University of Illinois at UIUC, a master's in history from Miami University, and a BA in history, a secondary education from the University of Colorado at Boulder. In addition to her professional credentials and her experience in outreach and development, Dr. Laut brings a wide variety of community-based volunteer experience to the position. She's demonstrated her ability to collaborate in an open and inclusive manner through her service on the Board of Board of Trustees for the Unitarian Universalist Church. She hosts the Little Free Pantry at her home on Main Street, has raised thousands of dollars for local social service organizations during the pandemic. She's committed to achieving access and equity for all Urbana residents in terms of housing, food, education, transportation, technology, health, and safety. I believe that Dr. Laut will represent the interests of Ward 2 well, and that she will make significant positive contributions to all aspects of life in our community. So I am pleased to bring this appointment to you for this consideration, and I would appreciate a motion to get, in a second, to get the discussion on the table.
I'll move that we accept the mayoral's appointment for Ward 2 for Julie Laut.
I'll second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Sharice. Any discussion? Jared?
I just wanted to make my thoughts known since council didn't get to talk to one another about this very much. I think that both candidates were very strong. I would have supported the nomination for either. Really would like to see Chris get a role somewhere in board or commission somewhere. I think he's proved his dedication to wanting to have a role in public service. But I would ultimately really like to welcome a third female voice to the council. And that was a large weighing factor for me, including all of Julie's connections and her statements and the things that she put in. So those are my thoughts.
Dennis?
Okay, so I believe, of course, both candidates are totally qualified for the position. I think I would have taken the gamble and had Christopher come forward to be on council. We're at a time right now where a lot of dimensional change is being requested of the city council to move forward out of traditional values and standards to something that's more embracing and transparent and all-inclusive. And we've heard a lot from Chris on these topics. Not really any comment before this nomination has come forward from Julia. And although I'm sure she'll fill the role if she retains the majority vote, I think I would have liked to have put Chris to real work and make him come to the council and actually put the wheel, his shoulder to the wheel, and assist the community in getting something changed in a democratic and judicious manner. So I haven't quite decided how I'm going to vote.
Any other comments? Mary Alice?
I don't know Julie very well, but I did want to just kind of give my background. Julie, my first interaction with her was when she organized the Radical Illini, which was kind of a reunion for the 1960s student movement at Urbana. And she did a really good job organizing that event, bringing in a lot of different people, both from across the world, but also local students, and getting the local students involved. I also know her a bit from her Turia night that she does on Friday nights, and I would like to say that she does a really good job of outreach to all the different social organizations. Every Friday there's a presentation. She encourages people to donate to these organizations, and so I look forward to her insight and the work that she's done with all the different organizations in our community, and I think that that would bring a real asset to City Council.
Any further discussion? Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll? Do you want?
Okay, I'm here, but one of these days I'm going to get this thing to work right. Miss Wu,
Yes.
Miss Hersey,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
I think I'll respectfully pass.
Mr. Colebrook,
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Julie. And Julie will be sworn in person tomorrow at the city clerk's office. And after that, she will be seated on the council. So she'll take her seat next week on the Urbana City Council. And I'd like to thank Christopher Hansen for applying and for your demonstrated interest in the city. And with no further business before this special meeting, we are adjourned. We'll move right into the Committee of the Whole, which is chaired by Bill Brown tonight. Thank you.